we don't create possibilities. Possibilities already exist. They're here. They're around us. The question is, do we have access to those possibilities? Self-deception can happen when we're in our minds. The mind alone, we can be self-deceived and not know it, but the heart does not deceive. I'm sitting here with the belief that you have your own wisdom. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to help you find that wisdom and develop that. And that blew me away. I realized that coaching is the new form of eldership, where people are learning from themselves. The world has taught you what you are. Are you now willing to allow what you truly are to teach you?
So today we're talking about the power and positive impact that coaching is having on the evolution of humanity. And my first question for you, Laurel, is you talk about how coaching is shaping a more positive future. Can you go into why you feel positive about the future of humanity?
Absolutely. And this is something so close to my heart because I was, there's a lot of heavy issues people are facing nowadays. And a lot of people have a heaviness on their heart about all these issues, or they're just living with the experience of, I'll just look the other way. It's too much, to think about. But I have learned that there's some pretty positive things going on as well, and those I'd love to speak about. The first thing that comes to mind, though, is, have you ever heard of the jokes about, the horse walks into the bar, and, those kind of silly jokes?
No. What's the joke?
So there's one of my favorite jokes is, so this guy walks into a bar. What does he say?
Wow.
He says, ouch. And I love that joke because it also pertains to what we're experiencing right now in humanity. We're actually running into the bars of success we've set pretty low for ourselves. And that's because we are approaching a lot of our processes really linearly. So we set the bar like, we'll reach this one goal and then we're successful. So for example, if a company says, hey, we're just going to hit numbers out of the park, we're going to just, crush it this year. Mm-hmm. And let's say they surpass their financial goals and they're like, we succeeded. Hey, Joe, go buy your 4th house, And what we're finding is that true success is not success in one area. So is a company really successful if they reach their financial goals, but their employees are miserable and the environment's getting harmed, and the culture's toxic? Is that true success? No, not at all. So we have a lot of growth. And when we start looking at success, we raise that bar. We're seeing that success in all areas is very possible, and also it's got a ton of solutions, leaving a positive impact. So,
can you share what called you into coaching?
Yes. Growing up, I realized that I felt this burden of, just the problems that humanity was facing just felt too big. It felt, I was concerned, like, what can I do? I can't fight these companies or, help companies be less greedy or leave. I just wish I could change it all and help. And I took that into prayer and contemplation one day, and I just said, God, it's too big. I can't fight enough to make a big enough impact. And what came through that day was really profound. What really was put on my heart was actually a very peaceful answer. And very clear. And it was, you don't have to fight. Teach people what's in their hearts. And it was like I just melted and was like, yes, that I can do. That I can do. And so I realized that's my patch of grass in life. And that's the patch of grass that I set out to take care of. And I feel... I've come to believe that we all have, in our callings, we all have a patch of grass that we can take care of. And if we all attended to that patch of grass, that, the world would be amazing.
It'd be so amazing.
Yeah.
I was just talking with my roommate Jamal last night. I asked him, what if everybody in this world is on their personal legend? And he said, it's probably going to be a much better place, because right now we see people are not doing the things that they want to do, and that creates a lot of friction and suffering, and that just permeates throughout the world. And when, like you said, when people are really tapping into their hearts, that's where all the powers come from.
Yeah.
And in our essence, we're all powerful. And in our essence, we are love. And of course, we're going to take care of our planet if we're in that space of truth with ourselves and with everything that is around us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that because we're all connected, there's a reason we get that calling versus something else, right? Like we all play a central role, or we can. And I've met some people that have felt the call to contribute in one way, or they felt really passionate about something, but they ignored it or justified why they couldn't do it, and they lived with this unfulfilled part. But the book The Alchemist, which is such an inspiration to many, says it's never too late.
Chills. Yeah. What would you say to people that are listening that wanting to tap their hearts more? What word of advice you would give it to them?
I would say start listening. And I would also say there's only one way to find out. So I made it I gave myself a challenge. I kept feeling these promptings, like, hey, talk to this person or do this. And I used to argue with these callings, and I'd say, I don't have time for that. I can't talk to that person. This is silly. But then I thought, what happens? What's on the other side if I said yes? I don't know. So I challenged myself to just say yes and do it. And that's the reason I'm sitting here today, is because I'm now running the Institute for Integrative Intelligence because I said yes to a prompting back in 2009.
And look at where it led you.
I never would have guessed, ever. Yeah, just profound.
That's the power of following our hearts. Yeah, powerful. Next question is, so you're an integrative coach. How does integration coaching work versus other approaches out there?
It's pretty unique. Coaching essentially is a self-actualization process. So coaches are helping people bring out the best in themselves, evoking the excellence from within. So we're honoring the wisdom within the person that we're coaching. That's pretty unique. I was listening to a podcast from one of my personal heroes, Dr. Scott Barry Kaufman, and he was talking to Alexi, who's the CEO of BetterUp, on the future of coaching. And I love this quote. Alexi says, if you think of self-actualization as closing the gap between what you value and how you show up, that's a really powerful lens to view coaching through. And what's fascinating to me is that the current self-development models say, okay, take who you are right now. And from that place, start growing and developing, and doing that work. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. People are getting great results from that approach. However, in integrative coaching, we say, let's introduce you to your highest self first, and then have your highest self inform the growth and the development and the forward movement and your goals. Huge difference. So what we're noticing is that when people start with their highest self informing the process, they're getting just leaps and bounds of forward movement and better results.
Because when we see our higher self, we know what's possible. Like, okay, this is how far I can go. And what's the saying? If you shoot for the stars, you might hit the moon, right? Like, it's just that the results,
right?
It's so different versus I'm just hitting. I want to go to the moon. Maybe I will just, it's like there's so much difference in having that highest self goal. And I often thought about that too. Is when we see our highest self, it's almost the vision is so powerful and it's so like we can feel it. It's the person that we are. It's our highest expression, and there's a pull to it. Versus just working really hard to get there without seeing a vision. So I love that.
Yeah.
So what's the process is like when guiding people through visualizing their highest self?
So that's in the coaching process. We've got different tools and processes that we have the client sit through so that they can get attuned to that, because it's going to be different for everyone.
Right.
That's the beauty of coaching, is everyone has their own unique success formula. And so that the coaching process helps pull that out. So it's really a process of getting someone aligned where they go, yep, here it is now. I'm in it. Okay, now what does your highest self have to say?
Powerful.
Yeah. Also, personally, my spiritual beliefs are is that the highest self is what is connected to all that is. And what's fascinating is the Heart Math Institute has conducted research. And what they found was they hooked up monitors to the heart and the skin and the brain, because they just wanted to measure what was going on when people were responding to different images. So they set up a computer that chose random images. And in between those random images was, I think it was 6 seconds of just black screen, nothing. What they found absolutely blew them out of the water and shocked them. They weren't sure how this was even possible. What they found was that the heart responded first before any other system of the body did, which was new information. But not only that, the heart responded to the image before the image was randomly chosen.
What?
So yes, very powerful. And so this opened up the question, what is the heart connected to that other parts of us somehow are like catching up to? Very fascinating. And the Egyptians, when they were doing the mummification process, the Egyptians would keep the heart in place because they believed that was the center of all knowledge and wisdom. So thousands of years ago, cultures intuitively knew there was something about the heart.
It reminded me of the quoting of The Alchemist, saying somewhere along those lines, our hearts have have knowledge and wisdom throughout all history, all connected to that. Yeah. And I think because that's when we are tapping into our hearts, this is something I realized recently. When we're tapping into our hearts, if we're in a really pure state, there are informations in this world that we can access. We will otherwise will not access if we're not in our heart. Because the world is it's everything. It's like, but this is the tuning fork. Yeah, that's such a powerful practice.
Yeah, and we have a lot of leaders that are living more in their heads. And in coaching, we find that when we invite that leader to step into their heart for the first time, big difference. They can all of a sudden they start connecting with their employees differently. They start realizing there's different possibilities available that they thought were closed before. They start realizing that they're more intuitive than maybe they previously thought.
The whole world of possibilities just opens up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's fascinating to me is that we don't create possibilities. Possibilities already exist. They're here. They're around us. The question is, do we have access to those possibilities? Right. So if I go to work and I've got a chip on my shoulder, what is the probability I'm going to get promoted if I'm standoffish and cold and I have low levels of self-awareness? Well, probability goes way down. I've blocked access to that possibility. But if I get coached and all of a sudden I become self-aware and I realize, oh my gosh, this is a chip on my shoulder, and I work on that part of myself, and I'm showing up at work supportive, connected, and caring, then what is the possibility of getting that promotion? Well, it goes way up. I have increased my access to that possibility.
Mm. You are the creator of your reality. Yeah. And through this process, you are helping people to remember that. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share to our listeners?
One thing that comes to mind is the Course in Miracles teaches us to strive to see totally rather than selectively.
What's that mean?
And to me, that's the heart of integrative intelligence. So we're including all aspects of the whole instead of moving forward in a linear fashion. And that's gotten us so far, but the time for linear thinking is done. Like, I think it's helped us get to where we are, but now it's, we're running into those bars, those low bars that we were talking about, because linear just gets us to one goal. And I see coaching and coaches and a lot of other helping professions. I just happen to be in the coaching world, but consultants, therapists, all of us coming together and helping the world be a better place and have that, ripple out for generations to come.
Yes, yes. It's not a linear process.
No, it's not. And what's also fascinating to me is, we're seeing a lot of, we're seeing leaders that are able to climb the corporate ladder and get to the top, but they're not climbing their own levels of development. So you might have a leader that is, at the top, they're number 10 at that top, they've climbed that corporate ladder, and that's considered success, but they might only be at level 2 on their levels of development or self-actualization. So my question is, what happens when we have the leaders that are fully integrated? They're at the level 10 of their development, self-actualization. They have full capacity for success in all areas. And they're at the top of that ladder, helping and empowering everyone on that team. Like, that's powerful to me.
That is powerful. And success in all areas, like health, family, wealth, everything, emotional, spiritual. Yeah. And when the leader reaches that point, that wholeness, that's magnetic. And it's going to impact, like you said, the entire company, organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've noticed some leaders are like, I'm already under stress. There's no way I'm reaching success in all areas. And coaches are like, really? Okay. Is that your belief?
What's the story you're telling to yourself?
What's the story? Yeah. Because we see it is very possible. It's very possible. We are definitely intelligent enough to reach success in all areas.
Yes.
The question is, are we courageous enough to take off the blinders of linear thinking and to see the whole and to, make decisions from that standpoint?
So thinking in my mind is sometimes what we want in our life can be so good that we don't dare to dream it. And I remember this in one of my meditations is I felt just the best life I can imagine. And I asked God, I started talking to God, I was saying, can life be this good? I think it was Jesus. Can life be this good? He's like, yes, it can be this good. And I love when you said it, just taking off that blinders, because we've been telling ourselves, a lot of us has been telling ourselves that that's too good. Yeah. That's too good. I'll just have this, but that's too good. But this is good enough.
Yeah.
But dare to dream big and have a coach, have somebody that's helping you, taking the blinders off.
I love that.
Thank you.
So I have to share now. I was being coached by a master coach, and what came through, because I was about to make a big move, and I was like, is this too good to be true? Because some of the things that I had been working towards were all of a sudden possible in this new choice. And what came through in that coaching was truth is good. So yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it is possible.
Yeah.
So I am excited about the future of humanity because we have yet to awaken in our hearts. We're doing a lot of intellectual thinking, but self-deception can happen when we're in our minds. The mind alone, we can be self-deceived and not know it, but the heart does not deceive. The heart is incapable of deception.
The alchemist.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's next for you? What's next for the integrative intelligence?
Oh gosh, we are. So we're training life and leadership coaches all the time, and just so passionate about that, and getting these messages out that we can raise the bar of success. We do not have to just sit with the old ways of doing things, and our linear approaches that are causing us to run into the low bars. We can do better. We can pivot. We have pivoted. COVID showed us, we can do the things that we thought were impossible before. All of a sudden we had to do them. And companies pivoted, and it worked. It wasn't easy, but it is possible.
And it's worth it.
Yes. Yeah. So worth it. So worth it. Yes. Especially when I'm coaching a leader and they're like, you know what? Not only is my team happier, but my spouse is happier. I've got better relationships with my kids now. I'm healthy. Like, they're working on themselves, and the transformations are just phenomenal, and everyone benefits. It radiates out, like you were saying.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you. What impact do you see coaching having on a brighter future?
So one of the big things that I've seen in terms of coaching, the unique impact that coaching is having. Going back to when I was growing up and I really was struggling with anxiety and depression, and I really sought out mentors. I was really seeking somebody who had answers, because a lot of the people that I was meeting didn't have a lot of answers to the bigger questions that I was asking. And what I noticed is I was running into a lot more olders than I was elders. And I was looking, where are the elders that are here to help us and guide us? And in my 20s, I ran into, I signed up for my first coach training program, and I was blown away. I thought I was learning counseling skills or how to mentor people and help, which I loved. And it was its own unique approach of, I'm sitting here with the belief that you have your own wisdom. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to help you find that wisdom and develop that. And that blew me away. And I realized that coaching is the new form of eldership, where people are learning from themselves. And that was like, it garnered so much respect in me for the profession that I haven't turned back since. That was it. I knew.
That's powerful, because everybody already know what they came here to do. They already know the life that they want to live and how they want to live it. I love that. So the coach, the role is to bring that out of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it, because in a session, a client will say, well, just tell me what to do. And I'm like, I'm not going to let you give your power away. I trust that you know. And it's amazing, because they always do. They always have the answer.
Do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I picture someone that knew what to do, but are afraid to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's when the coach can really step in. Yeah. Like, you can do this. Yeah. I think that's why a lot of times we don't take that action, is because of fear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I love about coaching is I've discovered over the years of being a coach, and I've been both a coach and consultant. In consulting, I'm an expert of something, or I have expertise in something, and I'm providing missing information. Mm-hmm. Very valid. There is a time and place when we need information that we're missing to be successful. But one thing I discovered is we can be an expert of something, an external process or a thing, but we will never, and I usually don't speak in absolutes, but we will never be the expert of somebody else's truth. Period. Dot. And so the coach comes in and honors that. A really masterful coach will honor that I'm not the expert of you. You are your expert. And that's a new way people are being held in the coaching relationship. So it's really fascinating to see what comes from that.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Can you define the components of coaching mastery?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics, actually. My journey with coaching really led me to discover that, many deeply profound truths, but one of them is that there are two paths on the journey to potential. One, we can be shown the way, and the other we access and we experience from going within ourselves. And I brought this to share. So in prayer and contemplation, this came through to me around this topic. So on the first stretch of our journey to potential, we can be shown the way. We may find guidance in books, spiritual mentoring, counseling, community. There are times we may need to look to others for answers that will guide us to a new understanding. Yet, there is a time in our life when the answers provided to us may become the very box of our limitations. There comes a time when we must choose to maintain the way we have been shown or to pave the remainder of our life through our own wisdom. This is the second journey. To truly reach our human potential, one must take the second journey, and on the second journey, we move beyond the walls of external provisions and begin to journey amongst the answers embedded within. Each person carries a heart of knowing, and this heart of knowing is what guides and informs the expansion of our growing.
It's beautiful. And it just helps people to remember how powerful they are.
Yeah.
How powerful they are. Wow. And it requires a lot of self-trust.
Yes.
And faith and belief.
Yeah. The other amazing thing is that I realized we were doing our coaching intensives the other day, and we're having this really rich conversation on this concept of going within, that leg of the journey. And what I realized was, oh my gosh, had I not had a coach to hold this level of space while I went within, I might have gotten this far on that journey by myself. But with my coach, I was able to go all the way within my potential and really deeply explore, because I wasn't self-referenced. I had somebody holding a much bigger container than I could have on my own. So I'm seeing coaching as really helping people go 10 times further than they might have on their own, which I love.
That's incredible. That's powerful. Any closing quotes and thoughts you'd like to share?
Yes. One is that the Course in Miracles teaches that there's only one way out of the world's thinking, and just as there's only one way into it, understand totally by understanding totality. So including all aspects of the whole, which to me is the integrative intelligence. And I also have a question that I would love to leave people to consider. And I think it's a pretty important question, especially now that people are awakening to the things within them that are wanting to be awakened.
Yes.
And that is, the world has taught you what you are. Are you willing to allow what you truly are to now teach you?
Can you say that again?
Yes.
So good.
The world has taught you what you are. Are you now willing to allow what you truly are to teach you?
Whoa. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yes. So when we are stuck in our fear, and it can encase our hearts, like we've talked about, there's a deeper truth, and we can learn from that truth. And when we start to say yes and face what's in our hearts, answers, wisdom, very connected, resourceful answers come from all of that. We see that in coaching a lot. If I pose the question, what do you know in the depths of your soul? All of a sudden, the answers get real quick. Like, people know when they get through all the clutter and the chatter in the brain.
And there's a knowing, there's a certainty and a clarity to that voice.
Yeah.
It's not, maybe, it's like, that is my truth. Like, that is the truth. That's it.
Yeah.
The voice is literally different when you hear it.
Yeah.
So how can people reach out to you?
If they are interested in becoming a life or leadership coach, they can visit the website, integrativeintelligence.global. We have excellent options. We've got one of the most unique programs out there, and we really value quality above quantity. So everyone that comes to our programs, we form a personal connection with, and we are on their success team.
Thank you so much for sharing today.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.